For Veterans Only is a national television news magazine for America's veterans and a presentation of Veterans Productions USA. Reporting for Veterans Only is Jim Clay.
We began this week's broadcast with coverage of an unusual event that took place over the Memorial Day weekend in the nation's capital. It was a time to pay tribute to those who died in service to their country. But as Mary Miller reports, Memorial Day weekend in the nation's capital also served as a sober reminder that there are others who deserve our attention. 89,000 POWs and MIAs from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
How many pairs do you need? I'll go get them for you. 50.
Get everybody's name and the state they're carrying.
How about Alaska? Do we have a volunteer for Wyoming?
This is the second year thousands of concerned Americans from across the land, mostly veterans, mostly from the Vietnam War, converged on the nation's capital on Memorial Day weekend, bringing a unified message. We want our MIAs and POWs home. It was a message this group would take by foot from the Lincoln Memorial to the steps of the Capitol.
Where's George? How come there are no United States senators here at this march? Where's their concern? China or American soldiers held in captivity?
POWs! MIA! Bring them home! Alive! POWs! MIA! Bring them home! Alive! POWs! MIA! Bring them home! Alive!
Speakers at this Capitol rally minced no words. The government's to blame. It's done too little to free our boys and must now pass pending legislation to change that.
We need to find the policy that allows them to do this. In whatever dark and dirty basement it hides in Washington, D.C., and drive a wooden stake through its evil heart. It has no place in a democratic society. It has no place in the presence of those names engraved on that black wall. For that policy mocks the sacrifice of every man or woman who's died in the defense of freedom.
When a man or a woman enters the service of his or her country, there is an inviolate contract. And that contract is simple. If you or I are willing to risk our lives for our freedom, the least that our country can do is risk its prestige to make sure that we come home if we're put into some kind of an enemy camp.
The elected officials seem to think that the POW-MIAs, the forgotten heroes, have been lost in time. We say wrong. They are not forgotten, and that is why we are here this weekend to let not only our country, but the countries of Southeast Asia, Russia, and Lebanon know that we not only have not forgotten, but we will continue to be heard on the POW-MIA issue until our men and women are brought back to their country, America.
Because the families are so few in number, and you are so large, we have to depend on the Vietnam veterans of America to bring home our prisoners of war. So scream bloody murder, because we've done everything else, and that's the only thing that's left.
I fought for this country in 3 wars, and I hated demonstrators with a purple passion. I thought they were the worst thing in the world, and then now here I am, after 26 years of service, 3 wars, I'm out demonstrating against my government. The first time or two, it just tore my heart out. Now I'm ready to tear theirs out. How many of you thought the government would just abandon you? Hold your hand up, please. Not a damn hand. I didn't think so, but I've sure found out they do. The flat ass walk off and leave you.
For the mother that cries every time she sees her son's picture hanging on the wall, there has to be freedom now. For the child, the son or the daughter of a prisoner of war, that doesn't even remember what it feels like to be hugged by their daddy. Freedom now.
Last year in October, fellow activist Donald Long and I were arrested in Laos, passing out the POW reward information. We did it because we were frustrated. Signing petitions, making phone calls, and writing letters has not gotten us anywhere for the last 15 or 20 years. They didn't let us go because they were humanitarian. They're not going to let the POWs go because they're humanitarian. The only way those men are coming out is if you make enough noise to get their attention.
And this group did make enough noise to get the attention of at least one Laotian government representative, if nothing more than a peek from a window.
Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home!
Release our POWs!
A contingent chanted in front of the Laotian consulate, accusing that country of holding our prisoners. A POW daughter even ventured to the door, hoping for a face-to-face talk.
It's frustrating. There's a lot of burnout. You know, I've been working on this issue for 18 years. That's how long my father's been missing in action. And it's great to see the enthusiasm still after all these years, because it has been long and tiring, and we don't get a lot of response from our government or the Laotian government.
I was a prisoner of war in Germany in the Second World War, and I equate with what they're trying to do here is getting POWs out of it. I would hate if I had been in the same position where I was forgotten by the government.
And I've got friends here who are my age, and they're getting more and more involved with the POW-MIA situation. And what they said earlier during their speech, that if we go to war tomorrow, who's to say that our country's not going to forget about us? I don't want to see that happen.
Well, by evening, the mood had shifted from frustrating to festive. One entertainer says his participation here was the result of a near-fatal auto accident a couple years ago.
My friends started taking me down to the local VFW, and they would have volunteers cook for them on Friday nights. And I was touched by these people. They treated me like one of their own.
So you decided to give something back?
Well, they really gave me a reason to live. I was looking forward to getting up the next day and going out and doing something, and I couldn't wait to be with them again, because there's no half-stepping. When you're with them and you smile, it's an ear-to-ear smile, and it's real. So I cooked with them and I cooked for them, and when they asked me to be involved here, to be a part of this, I mean, hell yes, here I am. This is it. This is where the heart is.
This is where the heart is for Britt Small and his group, too. They've been pushing and singing veterans issues for more than a half-dozen years.
We found out that we were effective, that we could reach people, that we could help people in all kinds of ways I never dreamed of. It's very detrimental to my career to do this. It was a choice between having a career in the music industry and doing what I thought was right. So I chose to do what I thought was right.
Small may be right, but his 5-year-old daughter Anna sure stole the show. And so they sang and hugged and kissed and danced the night away. But not before a prophecy from one of some 5,000 bikers who'd already started hitting town in support of the cause.
And tomorrow's going to be bigger and better.